team is establish this is where we practically provide food for these people that can't get access. Or for instance, that they feel afraid of being exposed to the COVID now that we have all these different types of COVID. So we're trying to build a little business where we provide at least breakfast in the morning for these groups of people. And, yeah, hopefully it will work out.
Good. When looking around the United States and looking at different things here in the U.S., where do you see some of the? You were looking at things. I know housing has been a critical issue too for you, and housing is one of the areas that we work on with D&I Suncoast, the area that I've met you through, and D&I Suncoast, we've worked hard we're trying to bring together a plan to put housing in place here that's attainable and affordable. And I know you were discussing how difficult it is to find good housing at attainable prices. What can you relate in that, Elaine? Because I know that a lot of people are paying. The government standard is supposed to be no more than 30% of your wages for housing, 35 at most. And a lot of people are paying
half of my wage.
I know, and you
more
and
than
other
half,
people
actually.
Yeah, more. That's exactly right. And you and other people are paying 40, 50, 60% of their wages. So how can they possibly survive, and have any kind of money left over even to eat? And when they're being forced to do this because there's no attainable, affordable housing, and this is affecting thousands and thousands of people, not only here in Florida but across the country as well. But specifically in this area, because the housing prices have risen so fastly here recently, and consequently, they've risen. The rents have risen as well, to the point where a lot of people just can't afford it. They have to be crammed up, several people to an apartment, or they can't afford to live there. They can't afford to live, and it's not good. It's not a good situation, and the stress.
I know, and the crime level crisis, and
exactly. And
it's just yeah.
If you have a situation where so many people are being forced to live together and just to be able to survive, that's of course going to cause more tensions and so forth. And it's not meant to be that way. And you have a good point there. We have a situation now where unless we can find a way to reduce this, and part of the reason, almost a lot of listeners know why we have this problem. Part of the reason is it's just pure greed, because the for-profit builders and developers are driven by profit, of course. And instead of trying to build the housing as a non-profit, as some of the organizations are trying to do, it's because of political connection and other issues that go on that detain it then. Because the for-profit donors who donate to the campaigns of certain politicians and things are able to get their foot in the door, and the nonprofits, of course, who cannot afford to do that and who are actually interested in making the housing available, then they're held off of the market. And the for-profit developers are have no motivation. In fact, they have to almost be forced to do it in order to do for-profit, larger, more expensive homes. They're, in some cases, being required to put in lower-cost housing for people with lower income levels. And that's where the rub comes, because they're driven by profit, but the people who need the housing can least afford that type of housing that they're developing. And it's stressing. It's putting more and more stress into the marketplace.
It's highly stressful. I mean, paying half of my monthly income just into my rent is very frustrating. People don't. I lived in Pennsylvania for a couple of years, and property prices have gone down. And I was paying $500 for a 3-bedroom apartment. And that was actually very reasonable. I had the economic finances to be able to do anything I wanted to do. I wanted to establish any business. I wanted to help my parents or any medical bills. And it's just very helpful to have that rent to be a little lower than half of your monthly incomes. Yeah,
I just read an article in the paper. They're going to start accepting rent vouchers again. It's called for Section 8 housing. But the sad thing of the thing is that the amount of vouchers they'll have available is so limited, and the number of people who are potentially qualify for this is so great that it'll probably put a dent in the actual need. So several of us looked at the article and it almost laughed when we saw it, because it won't even begin to dent the need that there is, and that's exactly where we have to work more to get people into better housing. As someone, as someone who looks at the United States as coming from the outside to be in here, give me. I know you said you participated in sports and stuff. What would you say? When you came here again, what would be, and where you are now, what could have been things that could have helped you if you had, in part of the school systems they have mentoring programs where some of us have participated and helped out the incoming and the diverse ethnic groups that came into the United States. Did you have any mentoring programs at the school where you started school in the United States?
Yes, I did have after-school programs. I did a lot of after-school programs to get ahead, and that really helped me a lot. And one thing that would have helped me a little bit more would have been the summer programs. I think the lack of summer programs is a big hit on America, at least in the urban areas, because in the summer a person could change completely, and when you're being suppressed in society, and you're not being treated as equal, and then you have a summer free, and then you're not being treated as equal in the parks. And I think that we should have been more like programs, summer programs for the kids, and some union with the police enforcement and the school department. I think if the school department unites with the police departments and they have more communication and the programming, I think things will be oriented a lot more better into being better people.
Okay.
And I think that would have helped a lot.
Did when you decided to go to Pennsylvania for a while, what was the motivation to go there? Did you have any family there? Or do you have a job offer there or something? What happened?
Yeah, it was a friend. It was my friend's mom that mother-in-law that she lived there. And we just wanted to try something new, something different. We were kind of stuck in the same area, the same media, the same thing going on, the same suppression, the same inequality. I mean, we couldn't find jobs anywhere. It was just very hard. So in Massachusetts, at least, and anyway, so I just moved to Pennsylvania. Her aunt and her mother-in-law offered us to live over there. Because she lives alone, and you try it out. I liked it for a little bit. It was pretty decent. I just didn't like that the town itself was very empty and there wasn't much going on. But I think it's a really good town. Now I hear that there's a lot more construction going on. There's a lot going on over there. So I feel good for what's going on. I'm sorry, guys.
So, okay. Anyway, when you started coming into, how did you end up in Florida then? You came to Florida, and you had an opportunity down here, I'm guessing. Is that correct?
Yes, correct. It was my friend. So my friend from school, he was living by himself. And I had a girlfriend over there, and he had a girlfriend over here. So coincidentally, we were both breaking up from our relationships. And he had a 2-bedroom apartment. I was living by myself over there in Pennsylvania. I just wanted to get out of the environment due to the fact that I was going through my relationship. And I just kind of moved with him. I found a job, and he got me a job immediately. And we were just kind of living together for a year. And, yeah.
Okay. Excellent.
Mm-hmm. So I was just really young, and I was just trying things and figuring things out. And,
What part do you think was, aside for having a little warmer climate here in Florida, has there been any other advantages you think to living in this area?
Florida, the one thing I like the most is the weather and the fact that it's tropical. So I come from a tropical island, so I think I'll go through anything before I move out of here. So I think it's really the weather that got me to be here. Other than that, I really don't like the system, how the system works here, how our taxes are being divided, how the city is not being contributed with anything. I mean, I walk in the streets and there's no lights. The roads are, I'm bumping my car. It's all demolished because all the holes are there in the cars. I hear that the school system is not very good out here. That's things that I hear from other people, from coworkers and stuff. But other than that, I guess it is what it is.
Okay, Carlos, listen, we've got about 1 minute left here. I want you to wrap up with some thoughts, and we may check back in with you in a future interview in the future and see how you're progressing. So give us some final thoughts on what you would like to see happen for you here, and let's look at the next 6 months. Where would you like to see happen? I know your business. You want it to take off and succeed.
Yes, most definitely. But the main thing that I'm focusing on is the breakfast business. I wanted to strive. I wanted to be focused just on the seniors residents, so that because I know that right now with all this openings, malls are open, clubs are open. We're running as a regular country, a normal world, rather say, and that's something that worries me for the elderly and the seniors. So I definitely want this happy breakfast business to really strive for the seniors. So that's one thing I definitely wanted to be striving for from here to 6 months, and that's what I'm mainly going to be focusing on. So.
Excellent. Okay. Well, listen, Carlos, it's been a pleasure having you here today. Thank you so much. And thank you for listening, and we hope you enjoyed today's discussion. This has been Coastal Progressive and Rainbow Forum on Society Bites Radio, and I've been your host, Steve Ryan.